In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the various Ubiquiti. If you go to ui.com, you'll be able to check a lot of these devices out that we're going to talk about today. What we're looking at is a complete infrastructure rework. So right now, I'm running a lot of older and really slower systems. Running a lot of old Juniper EX2200s. I do have a Ubiquiti 16 port 10 gig SFP plus switch that I use for my storage network. I also have Cisco Firepower as my firewall / IPS device. And of course, my Palo Alto and SRX are just kind of sitting there doing nothing at the moment. What I'm thinking about doing is introducing the Ubiquiti Dream Machine. As you see here, it's a 1-rack unit device that has 8 1 gig RJ45 copper Ethernet ports, or Ethernet ports moving forward. One, I believe, is for management, and of course, 2 10 gig SFP plus ports. This is going to work as our security gateway / controller. Now, as you can see here, it's an all-in-one enterprise security gateway and network appliance for small to medium-sized businesses. Optimal experience for larger networks. Not really sure how that truly applies, but hey, we'll check it out and see how it works. The Unify Dream Machine Pro, or UDM-Pro, is an all-in-one enterprise network appliance. UDM Pro integrates all current and upcoming Unify controllers with a security gateway. 10 gig SFP plus WAN, which is interesting, to be honest. We have an 8-port Gigabit switch and an off-the-shelf 3.5-inch hard drive support, so we can throw an SSD in here. So I can get a 4 terabyte SSD, get a 3.5 to 2.5-inch conversion tray, and I can use that as my NVR if I'm running video recording. All right, the initial configuration is simple using the Unify Network mobile app, which connects to UDM Pro over direct Bluetooth link. So that's a very interesting thing we'll have to kind of work through. After setup, all functions can be remotely accessed through the Unify Hybrid Cloud and a browser, or using the Unify Network and Unify Protect mobile apps. This features 1U rack server, combined switching gateway, NVR, 8-port 1 gig RJ45, 2 10 gigabit SFP plus LAN ports. Though it says it has an enterprise class IPS and IDS that does DPI, I believe that's Deep Packet Inspection. Not sure, because intrusion prevention and intrusion detection systems are technically DPI themselves, but we'll check it out. We also, of course, have Wi-Fi AI capabilities, whatever that means. Package contents. We have the Dream Machine Pro, rack mount hardware kit, which will be good, a power cord, and rubber feet. And there's also a really small touch screen you see there on the front view. As you may have guessed, we have right here a Unify Networks AC Flex HD wireless access point. Considering this thing says it has Wi-Fi AI capabilities, we might get some, good use of our wireless access point here. Next, of course, we have our Unify Voipthong. This Voip phone looks pretty neat. As you can see from the picture, it's just a regular phone, but it has a really nice touchscreen. I believe you can do video calls with this as well. I believe the Dream Machine can act as a call manager. So you plug this phone into your network, it ties into Dream Machine, and then you'll have dedicated phones for your network. If you have multiple locations, like branch locations, you can tie these into the Dream Machine, and you can have on-LAN calling. So you won't have to worry a lot about long-distance calls if you need to make a lot of them on your network. We'll move this to the side for the moment, and we have 2 other things we need to talk about. First of which is going to be the Unify Pro 48-port PoE switch. Now, one of the things you have to realize about switching, you can get one with PoE, and it's a lot more expensive, or without PoE. But here's the question. If you have phones, such as, the Voip phone, and you have access points, such as the AC Flex HD, how do you power these devices? There's two actual ways to power them. You can have a power brick that plugs into the wall and then into the device. Now, in an enterprise environment, that's not necessarily a good thing. It works, but, these things support power over Ethernet, which basically means if you buy a power over Ethernet switch, such as this, you'll plug your Ethernet cable into the access point or phone, and the switch will power said devices. When we talk about PoE and PoE+, that'll make a little bit more sense to us. We're looking at the specs and features here. We have a 48-port switch with 40 802.3 AT PoE+ ports and 8 802.3 BT PoE++ ports. Now, I don't currently know the difference between PoE, PoE+, and PoE++, but as soon as this is done, we'll talk a little bit about, what those different standards and types provide. We also have 4 10 gigabit SFP+ ports, as you can see from the picture here. Basically, the 10 gig SFP+ ports are supposed to tie into an aggregate switch, and we'll talk about that in a second. The Unify Switch Pro 48 PoE is a fully managed Layer 3 switch with PoE and PoE++, Gigabit Ethernet ports, 4 10 gig SFP+ uplinks, which is another question. Can we use these 10 gig SFP+ ports as access ports, or are they uplink only? That might be a good question to ask when playing with this. That offers link aggregation for higher capacity and increased availability. In case one of the port dies or a cable's broken, you'll be able to use the other one. If this thing works anything like traditional Ether channel or LACP, we'll be able to aggregate the bandwidth. So like if you have 2 10 gig SFP+ ports, well, you actually only have 10 gigs of throughput through that port, depending on how the Ether channel is set up. As an example, if we do IP to IP, if I have a device, my computer attached here to port 1, and it needs to attach to a phone or another computer on a different 48-port Ethernet switch, that traffic will only traverse one of those 10 gig uplinks and not both. So aggregate bandwidth might be double, but you only use one at a time for certain traffic. And yeah, if one fails, you have a second. We'll talk about that in a moment, but we'll move forward here. The Unify Switch Pro 48 PoE features a rich set of Layer 2 capabilities and integrates Layer 3 functionality, such as inter-VLAN routing, static routing, and it can also act as a DHCP server. This Unify Switch, they say, is ideal for access layer switch and any Unify solution. It combines up to 600 watts of near-silent PoE with the Unify Smart Power RPS power redundancy. Now I'm thinking that RPS, or redundant power supply, will probably come from an external UPS device. You get a 1U device, or multiple U's, whatever, and that device will have the potential to have batteries in it. So like as an example, you're on shore power when you're plugged directly in. If your power company or there's an accident or power lines or whatever go down, your systems die, basically. They turn off. With an RPS, well, that's battery backup. So you'll plug the UPS into this, And then if the shore power fails, it will have the backup battery power from the RPS power redundancy. Also, Unify Network Controller and Unify Network Mobile app allow admins to configure and monitor virtually. All of the Switch features an intuitive graphical user interface from anywhere, it says. All right, we also have a 1.3-inch touchscreen display. It's managed by a Unify Network Controller. So you can do it via a network controller and the mobile app, and then it says managed by the controller, which the controller should be that Dream Machine Pro we bought. And we'll go through and see if we can manage this thing as a standalone device or not. It might screw us up on the aggregate switch over here. So yeah, we have our PoE Plus ports that'll plug my computer and the phone and the access point and other N-Tras computers into to provide them access. We could also use this as a server switch, a data center switch. It's never really a good idea to have access for compute on one side and server on the other, but if the machine works well enough, you can separate these different sides using VLANs. I know there is such thing as VLAN hopping, but if the machine has good coding, it shouldn't allow that. That may be something we need to look into. So let's get this out of the way. The next one we have is the Unify Network Aggregation Pro. So this is a 28-port, fully managed 10 gig SFP Plus switch. It also has 4 25 gigabit SFP 28 ports. So 28 10 gig and 4 25 gig. Now the interesting about this is I have 25 gig SFP Plus 28. It's backwards compatible with SFP Plus, but I don't have anything to plug these into. I went on Ubiquity's website and I'm trying to find other devices that support 25 gigs. I was confused because like even the Dream Machine Pro is only 10 gig. So these ports might be wasted, but we'll have to see. Anyway, build and expand your network with Unify Switch. Unify Enterprise System. The model USW Aggregation Pro is a configurable 10 gig layer 3 switch. That'll also be a good thing. 28 ports for your devices and 4 ports for uplinks. So I'm kind of wondering if you can use these 25 gig ports for access or if they're only uplinks. With Cisco switches as an example, you can use the uplink ports as access ports, so hopefully they allow that. Apparently we also have RPS DC input is a new feature that provides redundant power like we saw on the other device. Managed and configured by the Unify controller with Unify mobile app support, this Unify switch offers extensive suite of advanced layer 3 switching protocols. We'll have to see what it means by advanced layer 3 switching. As long as it can, do static routes and maybe OSPF, we'll be fine. Let's see, operating mode, switching, mirroring, and aggregate per port, that will be good. Inter-VLAN routing, static routing, and DHCP server, the same as the 48 Pro. And the Unify controller and mobile app allows admins to configure and monitor virtual all the switch features in a GUI. This comes with, of course, the switch itself. It has a front touchscreen. We'll have to look at the back because I don't see that. Rack mount hardware, power cord, Unify direct attached copper cable. That's interesting. They didn't even supply an active optical cable, which I think is pretty cheap on their part. And of course, rubber feet. All right, we're going to start here with the Dream Machine Pro. We're going to open this thing up. Hopefully it's not too difficult. Power, network or internet, SFP port though, so we'll see how that works. Rack mount, Unify network, a couple of scannable items here for get answers and drivers, I'm guessing. Not too sure on that. But we'll open this up. See what we got here. So starting out, you see here, of course, we get a single power cord because it only has one power adapter. This is a quick start guide, so it might be a good idea to, run through this a little bit. We can talk about that in a minute. Not sure what's in here. Looks like we have all of our screws and nuts and whatnot for being rack mount, as well as the rubber booties here. So it's a pretty nice little way to do it. Put it all in a neat little care package. Then, of course, the rack mount ears. So we'll be able to put these in our rack. And that's it for this box. We have a Unify Protect here. So maybe we'll be able to go through and get some cameras for the business and do some NVR. That's all we got in this box. Let's put some of these things back in here. Not sure how this works. Anyway, we'll get rid of this. Now we take a look at our Dream Machine Pro. Pretty nice packaging. So as we said, we have our 8 copper ports, plus 9 for, actually no, number 9 has actually got an internet label on it, just like number 10 does over there on the SFP. We have, of course, our 3.5-inch hard drive we can put in here. The UDM Pro, we have our LED, single power supply, and, oh, I guess it is USB. So we could plug in the USB Protect here. Oh, it's pretty much it. Very simple and easy box. Like I said, I guess we just plug it in, open up the Unify app on our phone or whatever, and that's it. All right, so let me move this out of the way for the moment. And we have our next box we can look at. Okay, next we're going to be doing the Pro 48 port PoE. Let me make sure to keep all my stuff separate, just to make sure I don't intermingle things that shouldn't be. Let's open this guy. Same type of thing. We've got our little box. I'm guessing this has our power supply and other stuff in it. Yep, pretty much the same thing. We have the power cord, our rack mount gear, and of course our rack mount ears. Cool. Now we have that. Let's take out the switch. It's probably not going to be anything too crazy, as it really just is a switch. You just have a whole bunch of ports. Once again, very nice wrappings on this guy. Yeah, this one's a little bit heavier. And like I said, as we said before, we have 48 ports of copper RJ45. You can notice ports 1 through 36 have the PoE plus. 37 through 48 are PoE plus plus. Ports 49, 50, 51, and 52 here are our 10 gig SFP plus ports, and we have our LED on the side. Looking at the rear, basically same type of thing we saw before. We have our power cord and our USB. So far, I'm pretty stoked about these devices. They feel really well made. I mean, real strong. I'm guessing that's aluminum. Beautiful silver. Hey, apparently it really wants a hard drive. Let's close this up really quick. Not sure why it popped open, but okay. Weird. Ghosts in the machine, I guess. All right. The next one we're going to look at is the Aggregation Pro, which is the 28 port fully managed. I'll smooth this over here for the time being. Open up the Aggregation Pro. Yep, we have our box of goodies. This box is a little bit easier to open, interestingly enough. We have a much better power cable this time. It's got some type of, I don't know, vinyl or threaded coating here. That's really nice. I wonder why the other ones didn't look like that. And then, of course, we have our, if I can get it out, all right, so this is our SFP Plus direct access connection, or direct access cable, depending on how you like to mention it. So these actually plug into the SFP Plus ports. And you'll see here it's a Ubiquity branded SFP Plus port. We will be able to use this to connect from like the Aggregation Pro to either the 48 port Pro, the Junipers I have, or the Dream Machine. Pretty nice. Now we'll get this box out of here. Good wrappings, except this one is loose. Must have been sitting in there for a long time, I'm guessing. All right. So, you know, with switching, it's kind of the same but different. Just a 1U box that has a whole bunch of ports in it. This one, of course, has 1 through 28 SFP plus 10 gig, as it says right there. And then, of course, the SFP 28, which is at the 25 gig. You're going to notice, though, that they are exactly the same size, and they're supposed to be backwards compatible, so you can put the 10 gig into there. Let me see if I can pull one of these out really quick. So this SFP plus interface is a 10 gig interface. They couldn't even be bothered to send me an SFP 28. It's got SFP 28 ports, but they sent me a 10 gig cable. Bad on you, Ubiquiti. The amount of money these things cost, and they couldn't even send me the right cable. But anyway, the SFP plus port clicks, and there it is. So hopefully, like I said, it'll be backwards compatible, and we won't have any issues with this machine. One of the things about the SFPs and SFP plus ports, you really should make sure to put in the port protector when the ports are not in use, just to make sure gunk and dust and whatnot doesn't get in there. So let's come back over here. As you can imagine, we need to look at our Poe Enabled Devices. So once again, the AC Flex HD wireless access point. Doesn't say if it's PoE Plus or not, but we shall find out in a moment. They have a couple of different options when it comes to the access points. I got this one just because it looks cool. It's nice and cylindrical. And I already have my Netgear Enterprise access point, so figure why not get something a little bit different. And oddly enough, that is it. Just a small cylindrical deal here from Ubiquiti. Open this guy up. Take all of our covers off. All right, let's see. I don't want to break it right after I get it, but as you can see, it just comes right off there. So once it's closed, you're going to see we have the capability of putting the cable through here. And then we plug in our Ethernet port. Now, the thing I'm noticing right now, other than, of course, having that there for who knows why, is that this doesn't seem to have power. You can't plug a regular power brick into this. I'm not sure if you can see it or not, but right there on the bottom, right next to the port, it says PoE in. So it's a good thing I didn't buy the non-PoE version of the 48-port switch, otherwise this thing would be pretty useless right now. Of course, you can go out there and buy power injectors for wireless access points and phones and whatnot, but if you're really going to be running a PoE device such as this, you really should have a PoE switch. It just makes it a lot better and a lot cleaner. So we'll put that there. UAP Flex P. A bunch of connectors and such. Not really sure what some of these are for. And of course, we have what looks like a base as well as screws. So I'm venturing to guess that you use something like this to mount it on the ceiling. So if you want to have an access point that's on the ceiling and not on the ground or somewhere, you might be walking around the business or the office space, and you'll see these little cylindrical things sticking out of the ceiling. That's what they are. Ubiquity access points. Pretty nice so far. Like I said, we'll just have to look at yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, see, so we have PoE goes directly to the access point, or you can buy a Ubiquity power injector to inject power into the Ethernet cord. You can scan this QR code to download the Unify Network app, or go to ui.com/download/Unify. That's where you get the quick start guide. And then, of course, right here, it looks like you can tie it to like a pole or something. Tie it to a pole or mount it into the wall. It's very interesting. This one might be for recessed ceiling mount, which, go figure, is sold separately. Hey, I might have spoken too soon. Check it out. They send you a LAN port and a PoE injector port. So if you didn't buy the PoE box, hey, there you go. How cool is that? I almost expected them not to provide one of these. And it is a universal PoE, the AF standard, which is pretty cool. Then lastly, of course, we have our regular power cord. Put this back in here. Very cool, right? Let's move this to the side for a moment. And look at our last piece of equipment. This is going to be our Ubiquiti Unify Voiphthong. I'll take a look, figure out where to open it. Oh, it has a pull tab. Hey, check that out. Ooh, nice and easy. Kudos. That's awesome. So open this guy up, the phone is there. I'm guessing we have our little quick start guide and safety notice. Be careful not, oh, the screen has a protector on it, so we don't have to worry about that too much at the moment. Download the quick start guide by scanning the QR code. Wow, this screen is actually a lot smaller than I imagined it would have been. But it's a beautiful phone. It's got a really nice rubbery feel to it. I'm guessing it has a silence, a mute, a cancel or answer button or something there. Very nice. I like that. Very cool. So yeah, that's Ubiquiti phone. We have our connectors in the back. It's really nice too, just like Cisco devices and whatnot. I'm not sure if you can see in there, but you're going to notice we have a PoE/LAN port and a PC port. So we can plug this into our PoE switch, and then we can plug the computer into the phone so we don't have to waste or run, more cables. Very nice. UVP Touch, Unify Talk. Lily. There's my dog. There's my Lils. Hi, Lily B. Here she is. It's my little German Shepherd mix there. Anyway, that's the deal. We're going to be setting up this Ubiquiti network. With the exception of the phone part, we're going to go through all of the connectivity options with these Ubiquiti devices and see what we can accomplish. As I said, I have my phone for, in this case, myself. My wireless access point, which will be nice. I can tie this into, NTRAS, so it'll be separate from any other networks. And then, of course, I have my Dream Machine Pro. My 48-port PoE switch, and my 28-port aggregation switch that we'll be able to use for this process. So like I said, it's going to be pretty neat. The first thing I want to do is see how this works with an existing network. So I'm going to plug port 9 into my Firepower 1010 appliance, just so it's secure during setup and all that. And then I'm going to see how it works. If this port here is only a DHCP port, well, that might screw little things up for me. Of course, I can make the Firepower a DHCP server, basically. But the problem is, I need to figure out how this port works. Is it a regular port, or is it a NATed port? If it's a regular port that can be NATed, that'll be nice, because I can just specify my next hop as my Firepower appliance, and I can use this as an internal gateway and my firewall as the external gateway. And then, of course, I have these 8-port switch ports, which, to be quite honest, I don't know if I'm even going to use them, because I have my 48 ports here. Now, depending on how I use my aggregation switches, like the 16 port I have now, or this 28 port, I think what I'm going to do is plug this access layer switch into the aggregation switch in one of these ports, and then from these ports into the Dream Machine Pro. That way I'll be able to have everything connected and managed. The only problem is, once again, we'll have to make sure our VLANs are set up accordingly. Because, as I said before, a lot of security conscious people are worried about, VLAN hopping and whatnot. But as long as you have good firewalls and good access control, like having him the default gateway rather than the layer 3 switching down here, it might help us out a bit. So that's it. That's our unboxing video of a Ubiquiti Dream Machine Pro, a 48-port copper PoE++, and a 28-port aggregation SFP Plus switch, a Ubiquiti touch phone. Like I said, it's not their best one, but they were sold out, sadly. And of course, our access point. So yeah, come join us for the next couple videos where we go through and look at each one of these devices either individually or maybe do a combined video. I'm pretty sure the Dream Machine Pro will be a video by itself because there's probably a lot to it. Switching is switching. They probably look the same within the management software, but we'll also talk a little bit about if they can be locally managed versus through the controller. Then, of course, the phone setup, we'll see about plugging the phone in, getting a phone number from Ubiquiti, and seeing how that process works, as well as all of the features on the access point, whether we can have multiple VLANs, multiple antennas, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. Hopefully it's one of the newer Wi-Fi technologies, like I don't remember the new one. Is it AX or something like that? So yeah, join us for those. We'll see you in a bit.